Just wait a little bit and then put this in.
I always overthink the waiting. I'm like, has it been long enough? Now is it too long?
Mm-hmm.
Am I fucking it up that way?
I think it's like anything though. If you do it, if it's the first time you're doing it or the first few times, that's it. You know, you can't not do things that way. You just got to figure it out. Like when I used to make spaghetti bolognese, took a lot of concentration. And now it's now it's like sure, right?
Yeah, whatever.
Fucking bit of this, that's fine. Standing there watching onions cook, bro. Like, what if it's too hot? every time I hear that sizzle away, I'm like, oh, I don't know if I'm in trouble here. Maybe they meant to sizzle. I don't know.
I definitely meant to sizzle. Yeah. Well, the onions, it's the best. Like when you put onions in a hot pan, it's like.
Have you guys seen That's What I Reckon?
Yes, yeah, I love him.
He's so good at it.
Yes, I got obsessed with him for a while when I was living by myself because like I had all the time in the world to just cook. So I was like, one of my mates shared him to me, and like his chili con carne recipe.
I've never actually cooked anything he does. I just think he's funny.
Yeah, well, there you go.
But I'm glad that he can cook too because it looks like it. But he did a what was he doing the other day? Oh yeah, I can't remember what he was making, but he got to that point with the onions in the pan, and he goes, "This is the point where everyone in the house goes, oh, that smells good." Yeah, so true. Literally, because that's the base of everything. So you're like, that's that thing I love.
That's it, yeah.
I remember Mum used to do it when she was cooking everything, and then you'd be like, I'd always think it was macaroni and cheese, and whenever it wasn't, I'd just get real disappointed. I don't know why. It's just strange.
But it is, and I feel like for me, there's that moment of. Oh man, that smells good. And you go to turn around and just be like, it's literally onions. Out loud. It's literally onions. That's all you got right now.
Did you know that you're supposed to cook the onions to a certain point and then put in your garlic?
Yes.
Yeah, I only found that out last year. Turns out that's a thing.
Yeah, that is definitely a thing. And I feel like that's something I've known, but even, what did I make the other day? Something. And I put the onion not the onion. I put the garlic and the ginger in too early.
And the ginger.
And it just like crunch.
I'm not a massive ginger guy, but I like it when it's done. Like, how do I put it? I'm similar with mushrooms. It's like, no, actually, that's not a good way to compare it.
Like cooked into something
just as long as it's not everything I can taste, because I find ginger to be so strong that whenever it's in anything, I'm like, there's definitely ginger in here, you know?
So what about a ginger nut?
I'm not a massive fan. So that's probably where my problems start.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Damn, I've got a really good ginger biscuit recipe, but I'm not making you this.
Yeah, don't. It'd be a waste of time and energy, so don't even bother.
That's all right, I'll eat them. I'm happy with ginger.
I don't know, because, I mean, with fussiness with food and stuff, it's such an interesting thing growing up, like whether it's, because it's pretty standard for kids to not like that sort of stuff, like veggies and all that. As you grow up, you start to develop
nutritional wisdom.
Yeah. Do you think that's it? Do you think it's just actually knowing how good it is for you, or do you think it's because
definitely? And also your palate develops, like your taste palate develops.
That's a thing.
Yeah, like I reckon 100%. Like I fucking used to hate olives and like.
Yeah.
I don't know what other stuff was there, but
when you say develops, do you mean like just with more experience you create a broader thing, or is it like as you get older you actually just taste things differently?
I think you taste things differently. I think your mouth is like obviously some sort of like your taste buds are like an organ, I guess, right? And so like the more you eat, say, hot sauces, you become more susceptible to enjoyment of hot things because like your taste buds develop to be able to cope with that. Yeah, or like red wine. I think that was one, like as I've gotten older, like I don't drink anymore, but before I stopped drinking, I was like, oh yeah, red wine's actually okay. But when I was younger, I was like, what is this putrid, like pickle juice almost? Like,
literally. Yeah. Sips on red wine was a big changer, like game changer for me, because originally I guess I just thought it would be like the Christmas wine, as a kid, you're like, yeah, fizzy, sparkly wine, yeah, red, oh, I love it, tastes like grapes, and then you sip a red wine, you're like, what did they do? What have they done to this?
What have they done to make it so terrible? But I definitely think that I don't know, like, scientifically if it actually develops per se, but I think that the more we try and, like, I think something will definitely alter in our mouth. Like, if you, say, eat a lot of, like, I know me and Bindi loved sour lollies when we were kids, and that changes your taste buds because like it probably kills them in some way.
Oh, every time someone says sour lollies, I think of sour Skittles. And the first time I tried sour Skittles,
OG sour Skittles though,
they were crazy
with the like citric acid on the outside.
Pretty much. Was that what it was? Because that was what it felt like.
Yeah.
It was like somebody got Skittles and just went, I'll just pour a bunch of tartaric or
yeah, I'm
citrus,
pretty sure
that
it's something close to that to give you that like that sharp.
Oh, that feeling that makes your body just like
I'm pretty sure I've got a memory of like a bleeding tongue. I don't know who it was.
Yeah,
whether it was me or Bins or like one of our mates, but just eating so many sour Skittles that your tongue starts to bleed.
Yeah, I can imagine that because I had a couple of times where I was like sitting there being like, I need a break.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop. This is detrimental to my physical well-being in other ways than just sugar right now.
Because that's an interesting thing too in terms of food. It's like the content of food, right? And this might sound real silly. I compare it to everything in products wise. Yeah. Like I'll buy sunblock for kids or like baby sunblock or whatever or stuff like that because it's supposed to be for fair skin and all of this sort of stuff, right? Yeah. But as you get older, supposedly it's not tough enough and all this sort of shit. It's like you're supposed to use adult sunblock, right? But obviously, okay, if I was producing products for the people, the last thing that you want as a business owner and an image for your brand is to hurt a baby.
Oh, yeah.
So you're going to do everything you possibly can to make sure that product's safe for the baby's skin, for everything. But like a person gets a rash from sunblock, it's like, maybe your skin just reacted bad. It's not a big deal. Get over it.
Overly sensitive.
So I kind of have this weird theory where I'm like, if I can take something that's made for a baby instead of something that's the adult version, then maybe it's safer and actually better for me.
Yeah, I can understand that for sure. I think in terms of how I like comparatively, I think I look at that like because I've got really sensitive skin. I've grown up with like hellish eczema, and so like I look at like more natural based products, which I guess is like in the way that we're taught to view natural products, like it tends to be less harsh. Yeah, but like
it's a blurry line.
Natural. It is, yeah, because it's just it's greenwashing a lot of the time.
What does that mean?
Greenwashing is like when people use words like natural or organic, and they're trying to make you think something's good because it's natural or organic, but it's like, you know, poisons can be natural, poisons can be organic. Like we've got stuff in nature that'll kill us too. So it's brands use terms to try and sell their products to make people think that they're, you know, like recyclable or made out of recycled something, but it's still harmful in some way to the planet or us. But it's just this label that we can slap on it.
Yeah, it's like saying chicken nuggets are recycled chicken. It's like
yeah.
Doesn't make it good.
No, it doesn't make it good. No. But yeah, greenwashing is something that companies use to like sell products to make us feel better, but it doesn't necessarily always mean that it's like to the letter that description or that what's the word I'm looking for, the dictionary meaning of organic.
Yeah, it's not natural. It's not by definition. It's more by regulation.
Yeah,
you know, like
whatever, by regulation.
Whatever the rules were that were written, because someone said, "Well, what do I have to do to put an organic on? What do I have to do to put the word organic on my product?" And it's like, here's what you need to do. And they can do those things without actually adhering to what... There's
loopholes, well, like the idea that... Not the idea, but I don't know if you've seen the discussion online at the moment about how... I haven't actually looked into it further than looking at the headlines myself, but they're increasing their levels of safety for glyphosate. Wait, how am I wording this? They are increasing the amount of glyphosate that can be used and is still allowed to be safe. Around food.
Right. You worded it much better the second time. The first time I was like, what?
Basically, you can drink glyphosate now.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what they're going to make it be by the sounds of it, by increasing the amount. So what is glyphosate exactly? Do you know that?
So glyphosate, I don't know what the chemical makeup of it is, but it is the most basic form of chemical that everyone uses everywhere to kill plants. It's a contact herbicide, so it means like it hits the plant, it kills what's there, it doesn't kill what's in the ground.
Yeah.
And so like people use it for. Have you ever heard of little potatoes called glyphosate potatoes?
No.
Or like Roundup potatoes?
No.
So like the little pearlers.
Yeah.
I guess it's probably like something rural that we all joke about is like.
Yeah.
Like the little potatoes are glyphosate potatoes because they put glyphosate on them to hinder their growth because people want smaller potatoes. Yeah, I don't know how like scientifically true that is, but that's like
the joke.
That's the joke, is that like little potatoes are glyphosate potatoes, Roundup potatoes.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's bizarre.
Yeah.
So this stuff's in food now. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. We eat so much. We eat so many chemicals. Yeah.
The stuff you're talking about that kills shit.
Yeah, literally.
In food.
Yeah.
What, just standard, like it's in
so like
more
if
processed
say
stuff, or is it like
someone's gonna spray out a paddock, right? So like when you're planting a crop, you need
right, because they're spraying the crop, so it's in the food, right?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I'm with you. Sorry, my brain was like,
you're like we're mixing it in.
Yeah, I was like, so they're using
Sanitarium
it.
Like
they're using it for weeds,
yeah.
but why are they putting it in the ingredients?
Nah.
Okay, so it's just
in the process
it's
of food production.
Food. Okay,
yeah.
I'm with
because
you.
like. So the idea of glyphosate as a chemical is that it's a contact herbicide. So it hits the plant and it's meant to have no soil residue, right? So other chemicals that people spray, such as like, I don't know, tubethylazine and amitrol, they're chemicals that you'd spray on and you want them to sit in the soil and stay there to keep killing. It's like what you'd spray in your driveway, for example.
So it keeps doing
it keeps it there. It's an area you don't want anything growing on, like bricks or whatever. But glyphosate is meant to it hits the plant, kills what's there, and if you wanted to like replant something afterwards, you can, because it doesn't stay active in the soil.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So it's just like a surface level thing.
Yeah. Basically, it hits what's there and doesn't continue to kill. Yeah. But you've got like there's different strengths and rah. But it's used in so many aspects of food production, be it in like grazing stock, all the way up to like arable cropping. I'm sure, I don't know much about market gardens, but I'm certain it's used there too. So it's everywhere, and we eat it for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know to what level. I don't know the data on that, but yeah, it's within our consumption cycle.
It's very hard sometimes having this conversation a lot with people, not in just the food, but the whole conversation concept about all of it, because you can't help but just sit there and be like, what the fuck? Like, how? And
have we got
why? And all of that. And then you go, okay, all right, there's no point even worrying about that. And then it's like, all right, what are we going to do? And then it's like, who's we? And how many people know? And I mean, I just found out about this, and it's like, there's so many facets of humanity that fit within that category of like, so there's been heaps of fuckery, but like, we know how to fix it, and this is what we need to do. And then the knowledge you need to care. And then once you care, the effort you have to give in order to change is like, it's an interesting thing. So if you, I just wanted to let you know, that's why I was sort of just sitting there breathing at the end of you explaining that, because I was like, man, another one of those things that you're like,
you've got no idea about. And like, I think unless like, so I obviously work in an industry where that's like, I sell that stuff basically. Right. So like I have to have some sort of knowledge about it, but like I eat little potatoes. Like I'm like, I mean, I don't go and buy them from the supermarket, but if someone served me up a plate of like beautiful potato salad that's little potatoes, I'm going to eat it.
Yeah.
Like with that knowledge on hand still.
Yeah.
Like we do things that are detrimental even though it's just part of the cycle. But I think in terms of the like how and why and like we're doing this stuff, it's what's the word I'm looking for? Not consumerism, like trying to generate big money, people who want to grow those crops to make the most money. Capitalism, that's the word. Yeah, that's that word.
That's an interesting thing though, because that word isn't, that's another loaded term. It's like, I think capitalism has been a really good word for people to use when they're mad at everything.
Yeah.
Which I think is fair.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And a lot of aspects of capitalism are that. It's just a beautiful machine for money-hungry people. But I have to play devil's advocate, and I have to make sure I sit on this side whenever and I mean, I bounce between, but I always like to make sure that acknowledge that it's not necessary. You can't say it's the system when the people that are in the system run the system. It's like, okay, you can blame certain groups of people for doing certain things and all of that and whatnot, and mistakes and all of these things that will happen over time naturally because humans are a part of this system. But blaming capitalism is like, it's like, I don't know, man. It's strange. It's like if somebody gets injured in a game of rugby, it's like you don't blame rugby as a total thing. It's like there was consent, there are rules, and there are things in place. So what do? You don't go, rugby is the worst thing ever. It's like, no, obviously something within the system isn't right and people are getting hurt. It's like, was this a one-off? Was this happening all the time? Like, so we change scrums, you know, like we make it so there's something in place that now makes this thing as a whole, which is actually a really cool thing that people can enjoy, better. And so I think that the reason why it's so easy to jump on the opposing side and be like, nah, actually it's never going to get better, it's just bad and blah, 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 is because we've been in this system for however long. It's grown the society to the point where we have it today, which is arguably what the point of picking a system was. It was like, let's try to get something that's going to help us just build everybody's resources and get us to the point where we have an ability to trade everything everywhere, right? And that's when we fucked up. Like, we got to that point and then we've just kept doing it. And then we haven't changed things as it's gone along. People keep getting hurt, stuff doesn't change. It's like, that's the part of capitalism that people are mad at, in my opinion. And that's why I think you're completely right to use it in that sense. But I just like to outline that. I think that's why people do that, is because it's not actually capitalism. It's just... It's
a product of capitalism.
Yeah, well, it's a product of a bad combination of people's greed and a system that helps people to grow whatever they are building. And so if somebody is really determined to grow something and build something that's going to continue to fill their pockets at the expense of others, that system will facilitate that. And that's a problem, you know? That's something I do have where I understand, right? Because you don't think of capitalism when you think of the guy who's just like waking up every day to go to his job that gives him a good rate that is enough to feed his family and kids. It's like, that's happening, you know? In a lot of cases.
That's a part of capitalism too.
You know, so it's like, it's a real fucking hard one to talk about and to map out, but it's definitely a loaded term.
Definitely. And I think like, I mean, in these kind of conversations, like, you know, I have a general idea of what capitalism is and what it does for us.
Right.
But I don't have like the ins and outs of it like nailed.
Like how it works and what it's meant to.
Yeah, well,
I think from what I know, the capitalist model is all about privatizing industries that need fast growth and keeping all of the stuff that we need to be consistently looked after in the private sector. So, for example, the reason for that is because things that are in the private sector will grow quickly, but there will be expenses that will come up at the cost of that growth. For example, you might be growing your business to get to a certain point, and you know, but then at a certain stage it's like money runs out or something, and it's like you have to have a month off before you can start back up, or somebody gets sick and you know there's an effect, a cause and effect that makes the process of this really quick growth stop for a minute and then keep going or whatever. The problem with that is the lack of consistency, and that's why you can't give the private sector control over stuff like water and all of that sort of things, because the thing is, when it's in the private sector, it's open to full manipulation for the access or for the point of growth. It's like, let's just try and make this the biggest, best industry and make as much money off it as we possibly can. You want that to be in the hands of people like the government, who are going to be always making sure that the water never turns off. Like, even if it's at the expense of creating a bigger, better water system, they're going to make sure there's always water running. Because whereas like in the private sector, it might be like, oh, we'll just turn off water in Napier for 6 months, and then in 6 months we'll have the best water system.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
So capitalism is basically, from what I know, is that it's designed to have these two split sectors, and the difference between, say, capitalism and socialism is what's in each sector.
Right.
So like with socialism versus capitalism, the biggest difference between the two for me is who controls food, like the production and the distribution of food.
Mm-hmm.
In capitalism, which we have now, it's in the private sector.
Yeah.
Farmers own their own stuff. They sell it to who they want to. They buy it and then they sell it on to people like, you know, in the public. So your supermarkets and stuff buy it or whatever.
Yeah.
And then that goes on to facilitate, you know, people eating food, and it goes round and round and round. Farmers are dependent on that money, so they're always going to continue to grow food. So it's like you don't have to think that they're not going to try every year to make food. It's like that's going to happen. And then, you know, your supermarkets and stuff are always making money from selling food, so they're always going to have money to buy food. People always need food, so they're always going to spend money on it.
Yeah.
Socialism is like, let's put food in charge of, like, in the camp of the government, and they're now in control of how all food and stuff is distributed everywhere constantly, and there's like, they decide regulations, they decide like rations, they decide all of that sort of stuff.
Aren't they doing that though? Like, I mean, like
regulations, but like in terms of complete and total control, like if you're a farmer on your farm, you have a right to do whatever you choose to do within your farm. Yeah, right? Okay. Whereas like the government would then look at farmers and be like, you need to do this. Yeah, this is the only thing you're doing.
You're growing lamb.
And that's it. They don't get a say. It's like you're now in control of the farmer's business because the government controls food production. So and the thing is that's what happened during, you know, different regimes of communism and stuff back in the day with your, you know, Russians and all of that sort of stuff, is that the government got in control of the food and they said, fucking make us food. And the farmers were like, fuck, man, like you're asking too much or like whatever. And that's the foundation of your society. And so when the farmers are pissed off or the farmers can't grow or they're being asked to grow too much and the food turns to shit, people start to starve. And then people start to fight, and then that's why communism's never worked. Because every time they do it, they fuck up farmers. Yeah. And then they, like, what was the dude? It was like the Great Leap, and it was this Chinese fucking dictator. And he decided, he got told by somebody that if he planted his crops like fucking something like 2 or 3 meters deeper, that he would grow superfood. Right. But it's like, it can't
germinate
from that deep. And so he had this whole thing of like, we're going to plant all this food, it's going to go deep, we're going to create superfoods, and we're going to do all of this. And then he just lost all of this food, all gone, like thousands, millions of people starving and dying. Like it was just all in the whole idea of like, we need to create a communist like society as soon as possible. So it's like this terrible combination of like a privatized mindset of let's grow this as quick as possible with the excuse of, oh, it's for the benefit of everyone, which creates this terrible gap where they go, we can do anything we want because our ends justify our means. Now, communism in a lot of ways is a really good thing in theory, and so is socialism, right? But the fucking problem is people. Like we don't operate that way. We don't have that bone in our body yet. For whatever reason, I think we're getting closer. There's an argument for that, but we've been spending so long in the capitalist system because it serves our way as humans. It's like, let me just look after me. Can I do that? Because I don't want to fucking worry about everybody else. You know, like as long as I'm all good and my family's looked after and we're sweet, then that's good. Now, the reason why it's creating so much friction more and more and more as these years are going on and people are talking about it more, especially capitalism, is because they're starting to realize, like, as long as I can look after me, fuck, well, can I? I don't know if I can anymore.
I don't know if you can anymore.
And then it's like, okay, now that I can, it's like, what am I buying? It's like, all this food's full of fucking microplastics and
glyphosate.
It's like, what am I doing? You know? And those are the things that are making now capitalism seem like the worst model in the world, which is why the whole conversation concept is based around, let's just keep the capitalist system, but let's just facilitate these things that help people thrive within it. And then from there, honestly, I don't think that much changes in terms of the world and the way that stuff operates, but it creates a better baseline for people. That's the theory, but I guess it's a big mix of concepts that people don't fully understand as it is.
Yeah,
so
and I think that's what I think finds a lot of space for argument, is that trying to talk from places that you don't understand, and then like jumping into this and having you explain all this about communism versus socialism and stuff, and I'm sitting here like, yep, it's a big question. It's a bloody big thing to try and talk about. But like at the end of the day, the discussion is whether we should have food, water, and shelter available to everyone. Exactly. Which I think, like in terms of a like humanity-based discussion, like absolutely, why should we not?
I agree, and I think that's why I like the concept, is because it's a simplified version of a lot of very complicated stuff. It's like, okay, so why am I going to spend my life trying to fit into a camp that I don't fully even understand?
Yeah.
You know, it's oh, I'm a capitalist, or I'm a socialist, or I'm a this and I'm a that, and it's like everything on the other side's wrong and it has to be all this way. Yeah. And then you go talk to a bunch of socialists in a room and they all disagree about things. And you go talk to a bunch of capitalists in a room and they all disagree about things. It's like, what are the things everyone agrees on?
Yeah.
That's the middle line we're trying to find. So, and also the simplicity of it is the beauty of it. It's like, you don't need to be a fucking genius to know you need food. And you don't need to be a genius to know you need a place to stay and water to drink, you know? And as much as it is, you know, a simple idea, the reason why the conversation is different with everyone I talk to and why it will continue to be an infinite source of conversation is because it's a simple idea that has really complicated repercussions for the concept. It's like...
And just for how we, like, exist now. Because, I mean, like, I feel like a lot of people look at, say, our systems for social benefits and things like that, and they find loopholes in the fact that people abuse it or people don't necessarily use it in the right way that they should. I just said the same thing twice, but anyway. But, like, I guess if you can provide basic food, basic water, and basic shelter, then they've got no excuse but to exist, like
as is.
Like you can't go and take that
money and
spend it on something else. Like you literally just, and like there's a I was having this discussion with my mum. I brought up like the conversation concept and and she sent me this.
So I love that. So it just makes me like the thought of people talking about this outside of I'm just like, yes. Okay. So you're talking to mum. You're talking to mum. Okay.
I was talking to mum. And she sent me this, like, I don't know what the name of the triangle is, but it's like a food pyramid, but for what we all need in life. And the bottom one is like your physiological needs. So like what you're saying, food, water, and shelter. Right. And then the next level up is like safety. And then above that, I think it comes like love, and then self-esteem, and then finally at the top is like self-actualization. But like what you're talking about is that foundation, that very first thing. Yeah. And I think when I've listened to you talk to other people about it, I've almost had this point of view of being like, yeah, but what are we going to do when we get to that place? And I can't remember who said something along these lines as well, but like almost wanting to play devil's advocate again and being like, there's part of life is the struggle and like being able to achieve something and working to have to get something is life. But also our struggles go well beyond, as these evolved beings, they go well beyond just trying to find food, water, and shelter. Now our struggles are like all these mental battles that we go through that we have actually perpetuated because we've come into a space of somewhat more comfortability. Because like, hell yeah, we're way better off than, say, people who lived on the street in England during the plague or like in the cave, like, you know. But it's given us this space for worry almost, which I think is like, what if we can provide this for people? The struggle's gone, but there's other struggles that we can then approach and deal with, and then like surely we're just getting better as a whole.
Were you nervous at all, like about doing this and like chatting and stuff?
Yeah, hell yeah. Big time. Big time.
I know that seems way left field, but I just feel like you just heard it so on the nose that I wanted to let you know you had nothing to worry about.
Okay, cool.
Such a good point. And I think that's the juiciest juice of it all for me. Because, and the person you're talking about, I'm pretty sure it was Wilsey, because we've had this discussion, we've had the chat a couple of times, and it probably came up in other chats, but the reason I think of Wilsey is because the first time we spoke, he said the best bar, he said, I think it would make life easier physically, but it would make it harder mentally.
Yeah.
And I just like, fuck, I love that.
Yeah.
And it's for the exact reasons that you say. And I think that the way I'll add to it is you've got that foundational layer of food, water, shelter, right? And then above that, you've got, you know, as it goes up, it keeps getting more and more complicated, all the way to the point of like self-actualization.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of steps in between all of that, right? And like you're saying, even though we're still, you know, chasing this bottom layer, we're still experiencing all of the struggles from the layers above, like
absolutely.
and the challenges. And it's almost like if you look at it as a spectrum of vibrational frequency, if you think about a collective vibe, right?
Yeah.
It's like, where is everybody at on the pyramid?
Yeah.
And the top of the pyramid isn't money, and it's not wealth, and it's not all of that. It's self-actualization, which is what I would translate as authenticity, just finding yourself and being really whole in what you are as a ever-changing being, you know, being happy with your movements and stuff.
Yeah.
Now, if you were to plot every person on that scale, the majority of people aren't even in the bottom.
No.
And so if we can make that foundational thing with food, water, shelter a right, like a human right, then what you're doing on a vibrational level and on a consciousness level is you're actually lifting everybody up to the point where, like you say, okay, now this struggle is sorted.
Yeah.
We've got the rest of it to worry about. And I think that this is where it becomes a really, really interesting part of the conversation, which is what creates that timing? Like what creates the wave that makes people go, it's time to get everybody here?
Yeah.
And I think that there's the two answers that came to me was like, one, it just happens when it happens.
Okay.
And two, it's like everybody has their own part to play in helping lift the vibration. And you can do that by just being you and following your path on your way to your self-actualization. That's freaking amazing. If you're doing that, you're helping yourself and the world in the best ways you possibly can, in my opinion.
And because that flows out too.
Yeah.
Like 100% it does. And also, like what you say about like the shift of going from that baseline up, like I think any like person who has some sort of conscience will get to, like, you know I live extremely comfortably in terms of food, water, shelter. I feel safe, I feel loved, all of that sort of stuff. And then you look around and go, well, hold on, these people don't. Like, and that's part of the lift too, is getting the more people you get up here, the more people they can help by pulling.
I think too, having people in the scale of like above and below, even though it's not, you know.
Nah, it's not. But for the sake of the infographic.
Yeah, I think it is in a lot of ways better and worse, and it's not because somebody is better than you, but they're better off because they're in a position where 100%. They have things looked after that can catch them, safety nets, you know.
Have you seen that video on the internet? And it's like, I think he's like an American school teacher, and he's like, we're gonna have a running race, and here's $100 bill. But I'm going to read out a few things first, and if I say something that relates to you, you can step forward two steps. And like he says things like, your parents are still together, you live in a stable home, you've never had to worry about where your food comes from, and all these kids start taking steps forward. And he's like, I'm ready to say go, but before I say go and you race for this money, turn around. And there's like kids who haven't even left the start line. And then it was kind of like this, oh, okay. Yeah. Which I think like that's hugely important for some people to realize, is that it's not that you're a better person, it's that you're in a better position.
Yeah.
And all of the things that he reads out in those like opportunities to step forward in that scenario, none of them are things that those individuals have done that impact their situation. It's all just things that have happened to them and for them.
Yeah.
They haven't been able to affect that.
Have you heard the Monopoly one?
No.
So they brought a bunch of people in, just 1v1 playing Monopoly. And at the start of the game, they had to roll dice to see whoever got the highest number. And whoever got the highest number, they got to got to go first, and they got to get $200 or double the amount every time they pass go. And it was just a couple of little rules that gave them the craziest advantage in a game of Monopoly. And now the thing that they were studying was how that person then acted throughout the game. and every single person, without a fail, which is, it's that thing you say to yourself, you go, I did it, I'd be real nice. But if every person, without fail, that got the advantage at the start of the game, which is undoubtedly the only reason why they win, began to, like, be a little bit louder and be a bit more like, and like they're playing their game and they're like, oh, gotta buy it again. Like, just real.
Doing one of these.
Yeah, just, literally. Not even thinking about like how they're acting, just like, and then they get to the end of the game and they go, so why do you think you won? And none of them said because of the advantage. All of them were like, I'm just better.
Wow.
I'm just better than that other guy. It's like,
really?
Yeah, which is crazy. So your circumstance, just like you're saying, can lull you into this false sense of righteousness or betterness than other people, like because you just think no, look, it's not that they're doing anything wrong, whatever. It's like, I'm just better. It's like, no, bro, you just started at a place where that's made you, where you were made to feel that way, and now you live your whole life based on that. And I know you're flicking through your brain being like, I met some people, like,
no, I just had a penny drop moment though.
Oh yeah.
What color was I last week?
What color?
When we played chess. Was it
white?
So I had them. So here's me being like, I won, starting with the white.
It's a valid win. Don't take that away from yourself. That's terrible. No, you don't. Okay, in terms
I'm taking that wrong. But...
So in terms of like the biggest supercomputers in chess, just to like give you your win back. The only time that white and black actually becomes a factor is when you have two insanely high level computers that are facing each other.
Right, okay.
Because at that point, the amount of analysis and understanding and pre-thought moves and moves ahead of the game that they have. They can see those thousands upon millions of possibilities. So at that point, going first matters.
Yeah.
But until we're at that point, you won fair and square. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
I just wanted that documented, actually.
Yeah. Oh, shit! I walked straight into it. We're going to play after this.
Yeah, we are going to play after this.
I'm going to film it. Post it.
Post it.
Yeah, just post it as a reel with the podcast.
With the sound bites.
Yeah.
But I totally understand what you mean about like people from a point of position point of advantage they become blind to that advantage.
Yeah.
100% they do.
Yeah. And it instills a lot of, I have a right to this and I have a right to that and all that sort of stuff. And
my forefathers.
Yeah, pretty much, man. Like my granddad built this town, it's like, well, fair enough. He probably did, and it's great, but you don't have to be a dick. And that's the thing that's like, that's that switch. It's like, there are plenty of people with a lot that are very humble and plenty of people with bugger all that are assholes, It's all down to how you decide to put yourself out there. Yeah, I guess definitely. The interesting part about the conversation concept is that it's all theory, No one really knows. I actually had a chat with Ben last night, who I'm going to have on soon. Ben Lively.
Nice.
I know. I can't wait. It's going to be so good. But we were having a yarn and he brought up this thing that I won't go into fully. But
yeah, no fear. Save it for Ben.
Yeah, also because I can't explain it.
Okay, so
but he basically just said that there was an experiment with these mice and they put them in mice paradise and they like got everything they needed and they had all the rooms to think.
Is this the... Oh, I think sorry, carry on.
They all killed each other. It was they got every single time without fail, it all turned to crap. After a few generations, like they lived happily, did whatever, and then eventually like one mice goes up into the mountains and stops having sex and then they all start doing it. It's real weird. Lots of weird stuff happens. Yeah. But the suggestion from that experiment was that this is why giving people everything they want doesn't work. But the counter argument to that is like, but mice don't paint, Mice don't fucking sing and like do all that sort of stuff.
Mice don't spit bars.
Nah, well, this
not that
mouse
we're aware
does.
of. That's shit.
Oh shit, that's a bar in itself.
Yeah, that's a bar in itself.
Nah, yeah. So I had a giggle at it when Ben was like, so there's this thing called mouse paradise. I was like, that's what I'm trying to do, man.
That's a conversation concept. You've heard of it. You've heard of it. I'm glad.
Yeah.
The word is spread.
But so I guess it's just like it solidifies that unknown. You can't know what's going to happen. I mean, everybody gets this stuff, but my argument, like my contradicting argument to that of like, you can't prove that this is going to make everything good. It's like, no, but you guarantee it's going to make everything better. Like, it's like, and he said, what else did he say? I'll leave it for Ben.
Leave it for Ben.
But, you know, you can't make, it was a separate thing we were talking about, not the mouse thing, but we were talking about making everybody happy. And I said, I don't think there's one thing that makes everybody happy. I don't think that's true, but that doesn't mean it's impossible to make everybody happy. I think that it just takes a lot more than one thing.
Yeah,
you know?
100%.
You can't be like, here's 100%. The blanket answer for everybody.
No.
It's like, there needs to be more. And that, for me, that's the curious part after the food, water, and shelter comes. Because what makes you happy isn't getting by. It's just not. And if that's what satisfies you, it's because we've been lulled into this belief that that's the end goal.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, now I'm all sorted.
Yeah.
It's like, congratulations, now you can retire and die. It's like,
no. That's it.
That's not
Signed, sealed, delivered. You're done.
60 years just to get by? And then I can go look at stuff?
And still maybe not. Still maybe not, though.
That's an ideal situation, exactly.
Like, I've had discussions with my grandfather about, like they're in a really good place. My grandparents have, like, not long paid off their mortgage and whatnot. I mean, they're, like, around their 70s, like, just in that sort of age, and like they've just done that. And he's like, well, make sure, you know, look after your KiwiSaver because it's everything. He's like, don't buy a house with it because you'll need it. And I'm like, but I want to get a house with it. And then it's like the struggle for them is so different to what our struggle is going to be, and the way that we financially have to
prepare.
like most of them had brought, like, I'm nearly 27, and I'm living in a flat with 4 other 27 to 30-year-olds. Like, that's
normal.
That's so the reality now.
Yeah.
And if not into your 30s and whatever and beyond, because that's how we face life at the moment. And I mean, I don't struggle in any means in terms of like I said before, my basics, but that's just our existence now. Like, our grandparents bought their first house at 17, 20, like whatever it is, after working in the workforce for 3, 5, 7 years.
Imagine doing checkouts at Pack and Save for 4 years and buying a house.
And buying a house, yeah.
That'd be fucking sick.
Yeah.
I'd do that.
You lock in. You just get it done. You do it for the sake of doing it. And then there's that, boom, there's your shelter sorted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it is.
For you as an individual, alone.
Yeah. Not
maybe
you
some mates.
You and the bros.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is. And I don't know, because this is a real classic talking point in terms of just life in general. It's like such a known thing now that people like, nothing costs what it used to, and when nobody gets paid as much as we need to in order to change with the times. But it's like it's still happening, and it's not that that's the end of the conversation, but I think that it's just too. Yeah, that part of it feels so big for me. I'm like, whoa, because it's almost as if if you think about humans as one thing, like as one person.
Yeah, I and I.
Yeah, it's like everything that sort of is happening it's like a whole group of people being upset about something is almost like a wave of emotion for that one collective person. It's like the whole earth is going to feel when a million people are like, fuck this, you know? And so I think that aspect of the whole, here's what stuff used to cost, and that is one of those really big, clear, obvious, you can't deny this. Yeah, and it's a great thing that I think more and more people are becoming aware of, especially that are around our age and younger, because we're all still, I suppose younger is probably different, but around our age specifically, we were still growing up in that thing of like, you're going to get a job and get a house and all that's going to happen. Whereas, you know, kids now that are 13, 14 are like, my uncle's, nearly 30 and he doesn't even, he's still flatting. So like what they're seeing is changing. So what they're expecting is changing as well. But I think a lot of people are still in this weird throw back and forth between what is supposedly meant to happen versus what is happening. Yeah. And it makes people, like in my own experience, it makes you feel like you're a failure.
Yeah,
you're behind,
definitely.
You're not doing enough.
But also there's on the other side of the coin, there's definitely a lot of people that I know that are like our age and they do have the house, they've done all that sort of stuff. Yeah. But their life looks very different to what mine looks like. In terms of where they've been and I guess where they will now be for a long time.
Yeah.
True. And I think if I'd really worked, I could have had a deposit maybe for a house by now, but I've chosen to do other things instead. Yeah. Which I'm
don't not regret it all.
Yeah, don't regret it all. Yeah. I'm extremely happy with where I am right now. With where I've found myself in this globe.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
That's good.
It's good to hear.
And I think that's the acknowledgement that helps, you know? Like
Definitely.
being like, I am actually all good.
Yeah.
You know, it's just that part of you is like, oh yeah?
Yeah,
And you're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
no, yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
fuck.
I think so.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't need to pee a little bit.
Okay.
I'm gonna not do that and do a little fucking in between. I also want to make sure that it is recording. Good.
Nice.
Recording's good. So lethal, the vape, so.
Oh,
Oh yeah, sweet.
for me, it's been like a I've had this excuse in my head of being like, I don't drink. I don't like smoke bongs anymore. I don't do anything. So I'm like, yeah, I can have nicotine.
Yeah.
I'm allowing myself that. I'm off a lot of other things. So
Yeah. Where are you at with like ciggies versus vapes?
I'm using ciggies currently to try and get off vapes, and it's working beautifully.
Yeah, I think ciggies, as much as over the years I've been on the other side, I can see where people are coming from now. That they're much better, and it's like, that's crazy. How is that a thing? What?
How is the bad thing now the best option?
Yeah.
Out of the two.
Yeah.
Or out of the however many. Yeah, because like shit, I started smoking when I was like 15, 16, and I've had like breaks, but I'm nearly 27. Like that's something that's really dawning on me now. And like you can get to a certain point and you stop, and your lungs they might not be the best they could ever be, but they will start to regenerate.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, shit, maybe now's the time to start like doing better.
Yeah.
But also, fuck, I love nicotine.
It's good. It is good, but it's also it's there for you at a time when you need it as a coping mechanism. It's like, oh, I'm feeling these things in my brain. Nicotine solves that. But the thing is that with habits and vices is that you might start that way, but then eventually your brain will produce that stress so that you can have some. So it'll be like, we need nicotine. What do we do? Let's panic, Charlie. And then you get anxious and you're like, oh, I know what to do.
Yeah.
And your body's like, thanks.
Yeah.
And you're fine after that.
Yeah.
But it's like, if you can be self-aware enough to go, oh, this is what's going on.
Yeah, this is why I'm feeling this right now. And
Yeah.
we can do other things. A lot of it too is actually just like finding something to do with your hands. Like a physical movement.
Yeah.
I've found too, like you're craving nicotine, go and pick up your guitar. Do that. Like have you heard the 7-minute theory of like wanting to do something? I don't know if it's 7 minutes to start, but the idea is like when your brain says, I want to do something, you've got a really short window before it then shuts it down again and goes, but we could do that another time.
Okay.
But the 7-minute theory is that like, just go, fuck it, we're just going to do it for 7 minutes. Set a timer on your phone, look at the clock, whatever. 7 minutes, give yourself 7 minutes. That's all I'm going to commit to. And then you get to the 7th minute and you're like, man, this is fun. Let's do it for another 20.
Okay.
Next minute, an hour's gone and you've been jamming or you've been
doing whatever.
Painting or fucking running. That's how I started running again. It was just like, just do 1 kilometre.
Yeah.
Just one.
Just one.
That's all you got to do is one.
Yeah.
Next minute, we're going for it and it's all good.
Yeah. I remember saying to Zonnie last year, we were talking about running or gymming or going down to the ocean for a dip or whatever. And I was like, I'm not the guy that's going to the gym. I'm just the guy that needs to put his shorts on. And then I put my shorts on and I'm like, okay, I'm just the guy that needs to put his shoes on. And I put my shoes on and then I'm like, I'm just the guy that needs to walk up to my car. And then I walk up to my car and then I'm like, I'm the guy that's going to the gym. But that guy was not me 10 minutes ago. Like,
exactly.
when I was sitting in my room in my dressing gown, you know? Yeah. I mean, as long as you can become the person that does the next step, you'll take the ones
next
after.
Ones, yeah.
Yeah,
well,
that's so true.
Sam and I were talking about it today about like the idea of like wanting to do something and then overloading yourself with being like I'll use the example of running again, being like, I want to run, say, 10K. Well, you don't go out and run 10K. You start by going for a walk. Just go for a walk for the first time.
I'm so that person in my brain. I'm like, I could do 10K.
Yeah.
And then I do it, and then I don't move for
and then never again. Not for like another month. 10K, one and done.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a... Yeah. But it's just making those... You're right, those first steps. I'm just going to put my shorts on, just going to do my shoes.
And you're away.
Yeah. just going to start a podcast.
Yeah, I just got to do one episode.
Yeah, just one episode.
I just do one episode. And it's like, if I do one a week, I can do 50.
Yeah.
And then I've done 12, and I'm like, I could probably do these every day.
Yeah.
I don't want to get too ahead of myself.
No. We're just doing this one right now.
That's all. That's all.
Just here today.
I think that's a crazy thing, eh? Last night when I sat down and wrote down those things for myself of what it would look like if I gave 100% of my effort.
Yep.
It was a surprising experience. I thought it was going to be like, oh, this is too much.
Yeah.
And how could anyone ever do this? But there were certain things along the way that I realized, well, actually, I've been trying to do this for a really long time. I've been trying to get to what I consider to be 100% for a long time. I didn't even have a goal. I didn't really know what I was trying to do. Now with the podcasts, I have that. And then, especially too, since doing the podcast, the music's become so much more fun. I'm like, oh, I can just do that. That's cool. It's not even hard to think about it. But I was, got the podcast there as the main thing. So, once you get to the end of that morning routine, because that took me over a year to just figure out, how do I like to wake up? Like, what's the right way for me to wake up? And I was writing it down last night, and I went, okay, so I wake up at 6, I'm like, oh, I'm giving 100%. I'm getting up at 6, you know? And then I was like, all right. And the first thought that came into my head was ice bath, some David Goggins, like I gotta be that guy that gets up and does ice baths, doesn't feel, and
after
then just
10K.
does 100 press ups and runs 10K, and then comes back for breakfast. It's like, I'm hypoglycemic. Like I can't do that. It's not in my
I'm
body.
gonna be vomiting before I get out the door.
Literally. And so I was like, what do I like to do when I wake up? I was like, I like Weebix and cartoons.
Yeah.
So I wake up and I eat Weebix and I watch cartoons.
Nice.
And sometimes I just watch the fucking ocean from our house if it's warm enough to sit outside.
Beautiful option.
And that half an hour is the craziest amount of switch in my brain. Like, oh, I'm out of bed and I'm safe. Like, I'm not being attacked with having to do everything.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, I want to work out, but I'm not ready to work out. I don't want to eat breakfast and start working out, but I can stretch.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, all right.
Yeah, drip feeding yourself.
20-minute stretch. By the time I get to the end of a 20-minute stretch, it's like, I'm working out. I'm doing some stuff.
Yeah.
And I did it for the first time this morning, and I was just amazed at how natural it all felt, and also having a certain amount of time for those things. But, the point I was getting at here is that it's taken a really long time for me to understand myself well enough to actually curate that.
Yeah.
Like,
100%.
if I'd have done this 5 years ago, it wouldn't have looked like that. I probably would have woken up the next morning and done the ice bath because I think that's...
because I was that guy.
Yeah, because that's what I have to do. That's how you be a man, or that's how you get on your grind, or any of that sort of stuff. It's like, and I think, in terms of just on the topic of, self-development and doing things that might seem like hard at the time, breaking habits and all of that, it's not necessarily about finding like the perfect method. It's more about just trying everything you can and seeing when you wake up, if you're like, I like this, or if you're like, I don't want to get in a fucking ice bath. It's like, that's a lot first thing.
Yeah.
Give me cartoons, some stretches, and maybe a few press ups, and it's like, I'm ready, I'm hot.
Yeah. I can do it. I need to cool off now.
I did it today. Well, I thought it was going to be a lot.
How did you literally go and get bags of ice, or
we have a chest freezer on our deck.
Oh, nice.
So
I've seen it.
Yeah. So we just jump in it. It's mean, and it was real fucking cold today. So but I think if you look at it on the big scale in terms of the conversation, right? It's like everybody's doing this in some shape or form.
Yeah, in some. Whatever it looks like for each person.
And then you've got your own journey that you'll spend your entire life trying to figure yourself out. And then somebody, as you get older, you start to realize like, oh, actually my life is affected by everybody else's lives. It's like, it's a lot of weight to sort of put on yourself and be like, oh, now where do I put my energy? Do I go try change everything outside of me to try to facilitate a world that fits around me? Yeah. Or do I become like something that's capable of being strong in this world that's already here? Yeah,
well, I think it's got to be a combination of both, because in terms of you starting this conversation and anyone who does want to not only help themselves but help the betterment of like everyone. We all want to live in a better place. We all want everyone to feel good. We all want everyone to have food. that's a big generalization, but
Everyone in this room feels that.
yeah, everyone in this room, even Ivanka.
She's killing it.
She's killing it. Yeah. But like to get to that space, you have to. I think you have to feel good enough in yourself to do that. Otherwise, like you can't give love that you don't have internally. You can't. Yeah, you can't better something when you're not doing the best for yourself. It's detrimental overall.
I agree. And that's like when you were saying before about the running race. It's like, how is that kid at the back supposed to have energy for the 100-meter, man? He's, and then there's this kid who ran 10 meters and he's like, what? It's easy.
Yeah,
it's like,
I was that kid. I was like, I said I had real bad eczema before.
Yeah.
I was like, I've got this like vivid memory of running cross country as like a 8-year-old, and my eczema was so bad that I used to have to get like bandaged, I looked like a mummy.
Yeah.
And I've got this vivid memory of being at the back of cross country, and like everyone had already finished like ages ago, and I'm like inhaler in one hand, like tripping up over my bandages. Like it was honestly comical. And I like, you think about the kids that finished that race, they didn't have to trip over bandages the whole way.
No.
That was just me. But like, that was my experience of it, and that was my need at that moment. Was I needed to not have bandages on to run cross country to the best of my ability, but I had to. Like,
and nobody knows where anybody else has come from.
No.
Or what struggles they had running cross country. You know, it's like I saw it. I was watching midway through the routine today. I needed a bit of juice before the workout, and there was a little David Goggins reel. I was like, that'll get me going.
Yeah.
And he's like, if you really know what you're doing, you don't talk shit about other people.
And
I was like, whoa.
And
He goes, you just, firstly, you don't have fucking time for it.
Mm-mm.
And secondly, I don't know you. I don't know what house you grew up in. I don't know what shit you went through. I don't know anything about you. Why would I have an opinion on you? What entitles me to one? Like, I don't know any of that stuff. And that is so much of what you are. And it's like, I mean, we could talk about that for ages, but the internet has created this crazy thing, like, of information that is just constantly being bounced back and forth. And I think that's why so many people are like now skipping this food, water, shelter thing, going straight up to self-actualization, and then trying to get there. And then being like, how do I? And then it's like, oh, you need love. And it's like, okay, I need to love myself. I need to do this. And it's like, I can't love myself. Why? I don't feel safe. It's like, why don't I feel safe? What is all this?
Yeah,
and
my environment doesn't allow it.
Yeah, it's almost like everyone's actually reverse engineering this process and then coming back to that foundational thing, which is,
food, water, and shelter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, because we've gone for a pretty good amount of time.
Yeah.
And we have guests coming as well.
And I would really like a game of chess before you leave.
Yeah,
if
exactly.
you still have that.
Yeah, absolutely. I got that energy because, I mean, you've talked a lot of smack on this podcast. So,
I have publicly laid it down.
The least I can do is privately get my self-esteem back. But before we wrap up, I always ask if everybody has a little piece of advice they want to give people. You don't have to, but I always like to ask.
I think just leaving on what you said about you never know what, like you've got no idea about everyone, is just be kind. That's all I got. Be kind.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's a good one. And it's a fucking good baseline fundamental.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Charlie. Thank you for coming on. I'm glad we fucking did it because it needed to happen, and it was very serendipitous that today worked out. Which reminds me, I have a book for you.
Yay! Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Cool.